My fiancé's brother embezzled our family savings, and now I'm forced to choose between my marriage and my inheritance. He got down on one knee with my grandmother's ring, but I had no idea it would become a symbol of betrayal. I'm Grace, 30 years old, a graphic designer, and the only granddaughter of a woman who believed love was the most powerful art. My grandmother, Eleanor, passed away 2 years ago. Before she died, she called me to her sunlit porch, where wisteria draped like living lace, and slid a velvet box into my hands. "Grace," she said, voice soft but sure, "this ring will be yours one day. Because you understand love the way I did, fiercely, without regret." She clasped my hand and smiled. I was 10, but I felt the weight of her words like a promise etched into my heart. That night, I tucked the ring under my pillow, too afraid to wear it. For years I kept it in a little wooden chest on my dresser, the gold filigree band gleaming but untouched. It was more than jewelry. It was my grandmother's legacy, a promise of love that transcended time. Enter Matt, 3 years ago, at a mutual friend's gallery opening. He was kind, thoughtful, and swept me into a world where coffee mornings turned into museum dates, and lazy Sundays became art walks. He listened to my dreams and sketched ideas from my portfolio. When he proposed, it was on that same porch where Grandma had made her vow. Only now, the wisteria had grown wild, and autumn leaves drifted around us. He knelt on one knee, bottle green eyes shining. In his palm lay the velvet box. My breath caught. I recognized every swirl of gold. "Grace," he said, voice trembling, "this belonged to your grandmother. I asked your mom for it. I wanted our story to start with your family." My vision blurred. I opened the box and stared at the ring that had lived in my dreams for 20 years. "Matt, you..." He smiled, tears gathering. "I love you, Grace. Will you marry me?" I didn't hesitate. My fingers closed around the box, heart pounding. "Yes," I whispered, voice thick with joy. "Yes, of course." That night, celebrating with friends and family, I watched the ring catch the light whenever I lifted a champagne flute. My mother kissed my cheek. "I know Grandma would be proud," she said. Matt squeezed my hand, and I felt the threads of 3 generations weaving together. But joy has a way of flickering. As laughter swirled around me, Matt's older brother Sean drifted close. He was always the life of any gathering, 1 minute consoling Grandma's friends over lost lottery tickets, the next charming everyone into buying raffle tickets for his next big thing. He leaned in, voice low, and tapped the ring. "Careful," he murmured, eyes sliding to Matt. "Heirlooms have a funny way of disappearing." The words felt like an ice cube pressed to my spine. I forced a laugh and turned away, but Sean's warning echoed. The ring that symbolized love and family had just become a talisman of doubt. On the drive home, I traced my finger along the ring's engraving, my grandmother's initials, her wedding date. It glowed under streetlights, a link to the past. Yet Sean's whisper clung like smoke. In the quiet of my apartment that night, I placed the ring back in its velvet box and locked it in my dresser. I vowed to protect it, just as I vowed to protect my heart. But as I drifted to sleep, I realized I was stepping into a world where love and legacy could easily be betrayed by those closest to us. And I wasn't sure I was ready for the storm Sean had hinted at. Part 2, Wedding Chaos, Sean's Shadow, and the First Red Flags. Wedding planning should have been the best time of our lives. Dress fittings, cake tastings, seating charts. Instead, it felt like trying to paint a masterpiece while someone kept splashing ink across the canvas. Sean crept into every detail. At first, I welcomed his help. He volunteered to research venues, test drive limos, and taste test hors d'oeuvres. Charming, friendly, exactly what family does. But soon the help turned relentless. One morning, I opened our shared wedding spreadsheet, lines of numbers tracking costs and deposits, and spotted a new tab labeled Sean's Projects. My chest tightened. I clicked it open, a flat fee for bridal party coordinator, plus a mysterious vendor travel stipend. I never approved. The total? Nearly $2,000. I texted Matt. Did you okay this? He replied almost instantly. Sean said he'd handle the limo. He must have added it. I called him. Limo? We're doing a shuttle service. His voice went quiet. He said he found a deal. I blinked at my screen. That shuttle was $800. This deal is $1,200 more. He sighed. He's family. That night, I sat at my kitchen island, latte cooling beside the budget sheet. Matt and Sean were whispering in the living room, doors half closed. I strained to hear bits. Have to cover the deposit, Matt said. Don't tell her now. Sean laughed. My heart pounded. I knocked on the door. Matt jumped. Are you hiding something? I asked. He forced a smile. Just planning. I left it there, but unease bloomed in my chest. The red flags kept fluttering. Sean appeared uninvited at vendor meetings, charming florists into sending pricier arrangements. He insisted on consulting my designer on invitations, then billed me for custom envelopes he'd never shown. Every time I tried to pull him back, Matt shrugged. He's just helping. One morning I reached for my grandmother's ring on the nightstand, and it wasn't there. My skin prickled. I cornered Matt in the hallway. The ring. He froze. It's at the jeweler. For resizing? I pressed. He nodded, voice tight. Your mom arranged it. But you never told me where. He ran a hand through his hair. I'll text you the details. When the text came, it named the wrong jeweler entirely, Miles & Company, not the boutique I'd used years ago. My stomach lurched. Another lie, another hidden detail. Then, that afternoon, my phone buzzed with a note from a new group chat. Vendors, Sean's pics. I stared at the list of caterers and photographers I'd never heard of. I felt like I'd been pushed out of my own wedding. I tried to breathe. Every instinct screamed, protect the ring. Protect the budget. Protect myself. Desperate, I called a pawn shop near Sean's apartment, just to calm my nerves. Pawn shop. A gruff voice answered. Hi, my grandmother's ring has my engraving inside. Has anyone pawned one like that? I forced steady calm. The man paused. Funny you ask? Someone named Sean pawned a ring last week. Same specs. Gave his name. My heart stopped. Did you say Sean? Sean Jacobs. My blood ran cold. The ring. My grandmother's ring. Pawned for $50. I pressed for details, then hung up before I could cry. I stared at the phone like it was a lifeline, or a noose. Matt found me crumpled on the couch. What's wrong? I held up the phone. Sean pawned it. Pawned my ring. His face went white. What? No. I shook my head. You said resizing? Lies. Hidden tabs. Pawn shops. He opened his mouth, words tangled. He needed cash. For what? I demanded. Matt avoided my gaze. Bills. He said he'd pay it back. I felt something inside snap. He stole from us. From my inheritance. And you let him. He ran a hand through his hair. I thought I could fix it before you noticed. I stood, fury lacing every word. You chose Sean's debts over Grandma's ring. Over me. Tears blurred my vision. I'm leaving. And I'm taking the ring with me. I stormed past him, heart hammering. Wedding chaos had tipped into betrayal. The ring, a promise of love and family, had become the proof that my world was crumbling. And I was done hiding from it. My hands trembled as I pushed open the pawn shop's door. The bell overhead jingled, announcing my arrival into a haze of stale coffee and clinking metal. Rows of display cases held tarnished silver, watches, chains, brooches, each piece seeming to whisper its own story of desperation. The man behind the counter spotted me immediately. He was broad-shouldered, gray stubble on his chin, apron dusted with fingerprints. He met my gaze stoic. Can I help you? His voice was gravel and caution. I swallowed and slid onto the stool. I'm looking for a ring. He raised an eyebrow. Describe it. I drew a shaky breath. Antique engagement ring, Milgrain band. Inside, my grandmother's engraving, e.g. and the date July 12, 1952. I closed my eyes, picturing my grandmother's hands holding mine when she promised it to me. He nodded slowly. Someone named Sean Jacobs pawned a ring like that last week. Paid $50. My heart slammed. Can I see it? He flipped a key ring, locked and unlocked a drawer beneath the counter, then lifted a small velvet box onto the glass top. The patina of age clung to it. I leaned forward, heart pounding so hard I thought he might see it through my shirt. He opened the box. There it was, the ring I'd kept under lock and key since Grandma died. The filigree caught the overhead bulb's glare, and I remembered her smile under the wisteria, the scent of lavender drifting through the air. Now it lay here, scuffed at the prongs, the gold slightly scratched, a casualty of someone's urgent need for cash. Tears pricked my eyes. I forced my voice steady. How did he explain it? The man shrugged. He said it was his mom's. Name and number on the ticket said he'd pick it up. Did he say when? Last Wednesday. I closed the box, the velvet whispering against my skin. The room felt too small, the walls leaning in. I paid the $50 without thinking, fingers numb as coins exchanged hands. The ring was mine again, but it felt heavier, as if it carried every lie, every betrayal. Back home, I wrestled the ring back into its original case. I stood in the foyer, ring in hand, while inside, Matt was casually planning our rehearsal dinner, unaware. The house smelled of takeout and lavender soap. Some part of me wanted to laugh at the absurd normalcy. I found him by the kitchen island, phone pressed to his ear. Sure, Uncle Dave, 8 guests. We've got it. He hung up and turned. He froze when he saw me. His phone slid from his hand. Grace? You okay? I held up the box, the lid snapping open on a shattered calm. This is your doing, right? He paled. What? Sean pawned it. I got it back this morning. My voice was tight, brittle. Why did you let him pawn my grandmother's ring? He ran a hand through his hair as if trying to will clarity. He needed the money. I told him I'd cover it. I felt every memory of our 3 years together reel through me. The gallery dates, the Sunday morning coffees, the way he listened when I talked about Grandma's lessons on love. Now every sweet moment felt undercut by his betrayal. You covered it by letting him sell my inheritance. My words stung the air. You lied to me, said it was resizing, and kept this from me. He closed his eyes. I thought I could fix it, buy it back without you knowing. My laugh was raw, a jagged sound in the quiet kitchen. Buy it back! I pressed, voice rising. He sold it for $50. You can't replace a family legacy on a whim. He opened his mouth, then closed it. I paced, tears flowing despite the knot in my throat telling me not to show weakness. The ring case felt like a coffin lid pressed into my palm. I trusted you, I whispered. I believed you understood what it means. And you let him erase my grandmother's promise. He crossed the room. Grace, I'm sorry. I raised my hand. Don't. Silence crackled between us. The refrigerator hummed. The distant city sounds filtered through the windows. Finally I said, voice cold, I'm leaving. And I'm taking the ring with me. With that, I turned and walked out, ring case clutched against my chest like a last stand. Each step echoed in the hallway, a drumbeat of finality. Behind me, I heard Matt's voice, pleading, broken, but I didn't pause. Outside, autumn air bit at my cheeks. I gripped the ring case tighter, heart pounding a fierce, unsteady beat. In that moment, I realized the ring was more than metal and stories. It was my last piece of Grandma's faith, and I wasn't handing it back to anyone who didn't cherish it. I packed in silence. Moving boxes lined my childhood bedroom, uniform brown squares waiting to swallow my new life. The velvet box with Grandma's ring sat on top of my dresser drawer, closed but unforgotten. Matt's texts pinged constantly, but I kept my phone on Do Not Disturb. Today, I was only Grace. By midday, I was unloading a single suitcase and my laptop into my mom's spare room. Mom hovered at the doorway, concern creasing her brow. "Are you sure about this?" she asked, voice soft. I nodded, swallowing. "I can't marry someone who so casually let my grandmother's memory be pawned." The words tasted bitter but necessary. She gave me a hug, careful not to squeeze the ring case in my pocket. That evening, I sat with a steaming mug of tea in therapy. Dr. Patel's office was warm, soft light, plush couch. I'd never admitted this much weakness to a stranger before. "I feel like I lost more than an engagement," I said, voice trembling. "I lost trust. I lost my family's faith in me." She nodded, pen poised over her notebook. "What boundaries do you need right now?" she asked. I thought of the ring's weight around my neck. "I need space from Matt. From Sean's drama. From anyone who treats what matters to me as replaceable." I exhaled, the length of my commitment to myself. After the session, I discovered an envelope in my purse, handwritten in Grandma's looping script, edges faded. It wasn't there this morning. My pulse quickened as I peeled it open. "My dearest Grace, when life's storms threaten, remember this ring isn't meant for your finger. Wear it close to your heart. Some love must be protected, not displayed. You are stronger than you know. All my love, Eleanor." Tears blurred the words. My grandmother had foreseen this moment, this need to guard my own heart. I pulled the ring from its box, slid it onto a slender silver chain, and clasped it around my neck. Emotions I'd been burying washed over me, loss, relief, a fierce bloom of self-respect. That weekend, Matt's family circled like vultures, his mother pleading that I give them time, his father offering to cover the ring's cost if I'd reconsider. I remained firm. When Sean's parents offered condolences, I asked them to respect my boundaries. Some eyes softened, others flickered with reproach. But I saw my reflection in Grandma's words. I was choosing protection over performance. Back home, I emptied Matt's belongings from my closet, his shirts, his toothbrush. Each item I boxed felt like closing a door. I taped the last box shut and labeled it "Return to sender." The ring's chain lay in the palm of my hand, my talisman, my proof that some promises are meant for me, not them. Later, curled on my childhood bed, I scrolled through wedding photos, us laughing at cake samples, dancing at engagement brunches, toasting under twinkling lights. The memories stung but reminded me how much I'd given. Now it was time to give back, to myself. My phone buzzed, a text from Matt. "Sean's gone. Left the state. I'm sorry. Can we talk one last time?" I stared at it long enough for the buzz to fade. Then I typed, "No thank you." I closed my eyes and placed my hand over the ring against my heart. My grandmother's letter guided me, protect what matters. The storm had passed. I was standing in the calm, free to choose my own path. No more broken promises. No more giving my power away. Tomorrow, I would wake up as Grace, not as someone's fiancé, someone's sister-in-law, someone's daughter-in-law. Just Grace, daughter of Eleanor, guardian of her legacy, and architect of her own future. The ring on its chain gleamed in the moonlight through my window, a quiet reminder that love is sometimes about letting go. I agreed to meet Matt by the fountain in Larkspur Park. Neutral ground, public, no surprises. The morning air was crisp, fallen leaves rustling underfoot. I arrived early, the silver chain around my neck warm against my skin, ring tucked safely beneath my shirt. Matt walked up, shoulders squared but eyes wary. He carried himself as if bracing for a verdict. I poured my coffee and offered him the other cup. He accepted with a nod. We sat on the bench, the fountain's gentle spray filling the silence until he spoke. "Grace," he began, voice low. "Thank you for coming." I set down my cup. "One conversation," I reminded him softly. His jaw tightened, and I knew he'd rehearsed every word. He exhaled. "I'm sorry, truly. I cut Sean off, changed the locks, blocked his number. I've been in therapy too." His gaze flicked to the chain under my collar. "I kept thinking maybe if I fixed that one mistake, you'd forgive me. I watched him, memories of shared laughter and whispered dreams flickering behind my eyes. Then I pressed a finger to the chain, feeling the ring's cool edge. I don't doubt you've changed. I'm glad Sean is gone. He swallowed hard. But Grace, I still love you. I want us to try again. No secrets, no lies. He reached out, but I stayed still. I folded my hands in my lap. I thought this ring was your promise to me. But it became a lesson from her. I tapped my chest above the chain. I learned who I am when I choose to protect what matters. Matt's face fell. So this is it? I nodded. I can't go back. Not to the person who let my inheritance slip through his fingers, who lied to protect someone else's mistakes over mine. My voice didn't waver. I'm proud of you for cutting Sean off. I'm grateful for your apology. But I need to keep moving forward, without you. He bowed his head, pain etched in every line of his face. I understand. His hand hovered a moment, then fell away. We sat in silence, the water in the fountain shimmering between us. A child's laughter echoed across the path. I closed my eyes and breathed in the freedom that had felt impossible a month ago. Matt stood. I'm sorry, Grace. His voice cracked. Goodbye. I gave him a small, sad smile. Goodbye, Matt. He walked off along the path, shoulders heavy but steady. I watched him go until he rounded the corner and disappeared. When the park grew quiet again, I lifted my coffee in a silent toast to myself. The ring's chain glinted at my throat, no longer a weight but a badge of my own strength. That afternoon, I opened my laptop and finalized my application to speak at the International Design Conference in Barcelona. Grandma and I had always dreamed of Paris, but why not Barcelona? I amended my travel budget, added sketchbook supplies, and clicked Submit. Later, I met with the East Side Community Arts Collective, agreeing to help design a mural celebrating local women's stories. My heart soared at the thought of painting under open skies, giving back to a community I loved. Over the following days, joy returned in small bursts: frothy cappuccinos with my best friend, late-night journaling by candlelight, spontaneous dance breaks in my living room. Each moment reminded me who I was without wedding bells or family drama: Grace, creative force, grandmother's heir, free woman. That weekend, a letter arrived, an embossed invitation from the Design Conference Committee. We're thrilled to confirm your keynote slot. I let out a whoop that echoed through my apartment. I twirled, chain swinging, the ring catching the light like hope itself. I sank onto the balcony with my tea, gazing at the city skyline. The sky turned rose and gold. I slipped the chain from my neck and held the ring between my fingers, letting the breeze cool it. He gave me this ring thinking it meant our future, I whispered to the dusk. But all it ever pointed to was mine. I smiled, heart full. Tomorrow I'd wake up in my own life, no ring on my finger, but an open world ahead. And that was the most beautiful promise I could imagine. I woke to sunlight pouring through my apartment window. The city murmured alive below, buses rumbling, coffee carts wheeling through sidewalks, distant laughter. For the first time in months, I didn't reach for a ring box or a phone weighed with unread messages. I reached instead for my sketchbook and the silver chain on my nightstand. The ring gleamed against the ceramic mug of chamomile tea on my desk. I lifted it from the chain and held it between thumb and forefinger, no longer a promise of marriage, but a symbol of my own strength. I looped it back around the chain and draped it across my collarbone, where my grandmother intended it to rest. I dressed with purpose, a crisp white blouse, dark jeans, sneakers for walking. Today I'd finalize packing for Barcelona, my keynote speech at the International Design Conference. Grandma's letter sat in a frame on the dresser. Wear this ring near your heart, not on your finger. Love isn't just about what you give, but what you protect. That line carried me here, spinning my life anew. By 9 a.m. I was on my laptop, checking flight times and reviewing my slides. Each point laid out my story: art as resilience, creativity born of personal narrative, the courage to reclaim one's voice. I paused on a slide titled, Protecting Your Art, Lessons from My Heirloom, and felt a thrill. My grandmother's legacy would guide an audience half a world away. Midday, I slipped out for lunch at my favorite cafe. The barista greeted me by name. "The usual?" And I smiled. "Yes, please. And a croissant to go." I sipped the latte, watching passers-by. A group of students carried canvases, vibrant paint splotches on their jeans. I envied their spontaneity. I'd been caught in indecision for too long. Back home, I packed the sketchbook, my passport, and a small vial of lavender oil Grandma had given me before her last surgery. As I zipped my suitcase, I felt a lightness I hadn't known since childhood. No more ghost of broken engagement, no more ring resizing alibis, just me, my dreams, and that chain of silver resting over my heart. I paused by the mirror. The ring sparkled at my throat, a silent banner of the journey I'd taken. I traced the chain with a smile, tiny affirmation that I was exactly where I needed to be. Late afternoon, my phone buzzed. "See you at Gate 12, Barcelona Flight 74. Safe travels." I texted back a thumbs up and gathered my things. At the airport, I navigated check-in with ease. My carry-on fit snugly in the bin, and I tucked the ring's framed photo of Grandma into my backpack. Her face in that portrait, bright eyes, wavy silver hair, would remind me tonight why I spoke my truth. In the boarding lounge, I opened my laptop one last time and reviewed keynotes. The ring chain peeked over my blouse collar, catching the airport's fluorescent light. Strangers passed, oblivious to the heirloom's history. I closed my eyes and whispered, "Here's to new beginnings." The flight attendant announced boarding. I rose, slinging my backpack over one shoulder, and walked onto the plane. I settled into the aisle seat, stowed my things, and took a slow, steadying breath. As the plane lifted off, the city receded. Past the wings, I saw the skyline shrink beneath the cloud cover. My heart thudded with anticipation, not dread. The ring's weight felt comforting, not burdensome. Hours later, the plane touched down in Barcelona. The warm air welcomed me, scents of sea salt and orange blossoms drifting through the terminal. I navigated customs, collected my luggage, and hailed a taxi. From the back seat, I watched the city blur past, gaudy spires, cafe terraces spilling onto sidewalks, the promise of streets filled with art and laughter. I felt connected, to Grandma, to myself, to the world waiting for my words. That evening, I stood at the conference's grand foyer, badge around my neck. Keynote speaker, Grace Jacobs. Behind me, a wall of photos showed women artists in their studios. I felt honored, humbled. Moments before stepping on stage, I clasped my ring chain between my fingers and whispered, "This is for you, Grandma." Then I tucked it under my blouse and lifted my chin. The lights dimmed. My name echoed through the auditorium. I stepped into the spotlight, pulse steady, voice strong. I began. "I once believed forever was a promise made by someone else. Today I know forever lives within each of us." And as I spoke, the ring slept against my heart, no longer a symbol of broken vows, but a beacon guiding me into the next, brightest chapter of my life.